This time, Amy had wanted her birthday to start with a coffee and a croissant for her breakfast. Her mother had argued that it was their family tradition for Steve to make lemon pancakes for birthday breakfast in bed, but she wanted something more mature today. As always, she got her way, and her mother appeared in the doorway with her desired breakfast on a wooden tray, along with a purple envelope and a neatly wrapped gift. Out of respect, she opened the envelope first and read the familiar shaky handwriting wishing her a very happy birthday with love from Dad, written neatly at the bottom. Also inside was a small memory stick, which slid out of the envelope onto her bed with more weight than any piece of plastic had a right to have. "Are you going to see him today?" her stepfather asked from the doorway. "Maybe later," she said, placing the card carefully on her bedside table. "I don't like to see him when it's raining." "Happy birthday, sweetheart. See you downstairs when you're ready," said her mother, gently stroking her hair. She tried to hide it, but her mother always looked so sad whenever there was a video from the man who had once been the love of her life. They left her in the awkward silence they'd created, which somehow seemed to drown out the sound of the rain drumming on the window. Was it anger she felt, or sorrow? It was always difficult to tell. Rubbing her face and pushing her thoughts aside, she plugged the memory stick into her laptop, raised the lid, waited for the screen to flicker to life, then opened the file named 18 Today. The image was black at first. "Hey, Amy. Dad here." The smiling, gaunt face flashed onto the screen with an awkward grin. "As always, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. So, 18 today? Wow. All grown up." It was immediately obvious that he had no idea what to say as he glanced around the room, almost avoiding eye contact with the camera above his screen. As he craned his neck around to look off to the room behind him, he suddenly thought of something and snapped back to the screen. "You know, me and your mother met when she was 18. I'm sure you've heard the story 1,000 times by now, but you won't have heard my version," he said with a cheeky grin spreading across his face. She had in fact heard the story many times. Her father, James, was a young aspiring writer looking to publish his first novel. Her mother, Carla, was fresh out of art college, responding to his request for someone to design a front cover for the book. They argued about the use of colour, and in the end he chose a different designer, but also plucked up the courage to ask the beautiful young artist out to dinner. As it turned out, his side of the story differed only thanks to some advice about staying away from young men that seemed to contradict her very existence. He finished his story with a sad smile. "Well, I suppose I'd better let you go and do your birthday things. Your mother will have your gift from me. I made it myself, so I hope it finds you well. And as always, you know how sorry I am I couldn't be there, kiddo. Oh, I wish things were different. I would always love you, and as selfish as it sounds, I hope you think about me as much as I think about you." His voice had been reasonably strong and assertive up until he'd hit the word love. Then it cracked, and his eyes welled with tears. He struggled to speak the last sentence, and took a moment to collect himself before looking directly into the camera. "Love you, Amy. Bye." James closed the lid on his laptop and wept uncontrollably. Since getting home, he'd felt his strength start to ebb, and all his crying wasn't helping. 18, he thought to himself, and hoped at that age she got her mother's more sensible nature rather than his reckless one when it came to prospective partners. He looked down at the unfinished book that he'd been writing for her 18th birthday, and figured he could get it finished by tomorrow. He would have had it finished today if it hadn't upset him so much, and he was so glad Carla would include the illustrations later. That made it easier. He took a deep breath and calmed himself as the floorboards creaked behind him. "You look tired. Why don't you go and have a lie down?" his wife said, placing a warm hand on his shoulder. He turned and smiled at her. "I think I can manage one more tonight. You sure you don't want me on camera? You couldn't fit me all on." He turned and placed his face against the round bump that protruded from her slender form, his nose against the pop belly button pushing out the fabric of her shirt. The baby kicked, and he felt it against his cheek and smiled. "Thank you, Amy. I love you too," he said as Carla stroked his hair. "Okay, well, we're going to bed now. Don't you be up too late," she said and kissed his head. "I won't." He watched her waddle back to the bedroom. Then he opened his laptop, made sure the drip was still off screen, and hit record. "Hey, Amy. Sorry I couldn't make it to your birthday. 19. Wow. All grown up now.